but just
Yeah, okay, Dominic Spinetta. It's Dominic, and last name is Spinetta, Spinetta.
So these questions are basically about swimming. People that have been at the South End Rowing Club for a while, but tell me about your running, because that's pretty much your passion, right?
Yeah, that is my passion. I started running, let's see, probably when I was 40, 42 years old. Guys at the firehouse used to run, and I'd watch them come in sweaty. I thought, doesn't look like fun. And this gal, Joan Olliott, who wrote for Runner's Magazine, was dating an officer at the firehouse. And one day I was out at Stowe Lake having coffee, and she was doing her usual 12-mile day. And she says, come on, Dom, once around the lake. So I said, okay. So I put my coffee down, and I actually ran around the lake 1 mile without stopping. So I was bragging about that for 3 weeks. I ran a mile without stopping. So from there, I started running with the guys at the firehouse up to Spreckles Lake and around, and then they were doing the Beta Breakers. So I finally got into that. Then I started working on speed, and then half marathons, and then marathons. I've done about 35 of them.
Wow.
And then into the ultras. I got into the 50 milers, and ultimately the Western 100. That's a 100-mile run over the Sierras, 18,000 feet of climbing. And I just got to really enjoy running. It's just a lot of fun. I got pretty quick at it.
How long did 100 miles take you, about going up 18,000 feet?
29 hours you're allowed one day. You're allowed 30 hours. But it's not stop.
Yeah.
But it's 18,000 feet of climbing too. So it started out as a Tevis Cup, as a horse race. And one day some guy decided to run it. And the horse and the human are very comparable.
Oh, really?
For speed.
Huh.
You wouldn't think so, but humans, they can do more than they realize, as I found out. So I just enjoy running.
So you're also a pretty avid swimmer. You're out there every day when I'm out there. So here's the 20 questions. I actually narrowed them down to about 17 questions.
Okay.
So, why did you start to open water swim?
I used to swim out here at China Camp and McNears Beach, which is my backyard here. And I started doing, 1, 2 miles. And I decided, you know what, I'd like to do the Golden Gate. So I decided to do that. I would join the South End Rowing Club just to train and do the gate and then quit. Well, that was 36 years ago. I can't do without the club now. And so I started training down at Aquatic Park so I could do the gate. I did the gate, and it just kind of took off from there. And the first year I joined the club, they had the Escape from Alcatraz. And I had never done Alcatraz. I'd never never been on Mount Tam to do the run, and I had a 3-speed bicycle. I signed up for it. So I did, I made it.
With a 3-speed?
With the 3-speed, the double dipsy. My running helped on that.
Yeah.
And the Alcatraz, the swim from Alcatraz. So I got hooked. So I've done several since. And I did the last one when I turned 78 years old. I did the Escape again.
Wow.
And I've never been a fast swimmer. I just, I endure.
Just consistent.
Consistent. As a runner, I got pretty quick as a runner. And a cyclist, actually not a bad cyclist. But swimming, I would call it jogging in the water.
Yeah.
So
explain your favorite part of open water swimming.
my favorite part, in the morning when you go in the water and you see sometimes the moon setting and you turn around and swim back towards the club and there's the sunrise and the skies are turning orange and it's just a special, special feeling. And then especially when the water's around 55, 54 degrees, you get that acceleration. And yet when you're swimming, you warm up at 54, 55. Below that, you don't usually warm up. And above 55, it's fun, but the acceleration isn't quite there, that hit. So I think about 55 is the perfect temperature.
All right, cool. I get a little bit closer. It's hard to see. I'm blind. All right, what are your thoughts while you're swimming? What do you think about?
My thoughts are just all over the place. Some days I'm just swimming and don't realize I'm swimming. I go from one spot, next thing I know I'm in another spot. So I guess that's good. So I'm pretty comfortable in the water. I reached a point though where I'm very uncomfortable out in the open. Like if somebody were to put me out in the middle of the bay and turn me loose, I would panic. And I think that goes back to the New Year's Day swim. It was 1982-83 when they had that massive storm, and out of 73 swimmers, 59 got pulled out. They had a May Day. They called for all boats on the water to pull people out. We had whirlpools. We had,
Oh my God.
as you're swimming, the salt water was a little heavier than the fresh, so the water would come along and all of a sudden your legs would be pulled down and you'd be straight up. You'd be swimming this way, there'd be an orange cap going that way, another way. We had this one guy that somebody pulled him out of the water. He was face down. He wasn't going to make it. So I made it to Fort Mason, and I jumped on a boat there. But it was, and I wasn't panicky at all that day. I felt okay. But after that, I didn't want to be out in that open water so much. So now as I swim more towards, I do the flag, and I try to stay closer to the beach. I'm very comfortable there.
Yeah.
So for my last Alcatraz swim when I was 78, I had to have a good buddy of mine, Pete McLaughlin, had a kayak right near me. And if he got too far away, I would get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Because they swam as a group. Because we just had that shark 4 days before where the great white took that seal right out of the water. And they almost canceled the swim.
You want to get that?
No, I'm not going to worry about that. It'll wait.
Okay.
So that's, anyway, I made it. And I'm having just a lot of fun just doing my daily swims.
Yeah. So that the next question was, do you have any fears while swimming? I think you answered it, but do you have any other fears or?
No, I'm doing fine as long as I can see the shore and,
Yeah.
I see those buoys out there.
Yeah.
It's just, and it feels good. You come out of the water in the morning, I get down to the Cafe Trieste and people say, wow, you look great. And it's that alive look after you get out of that water.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling.
Nothing like it.
No.
What has changed since you started swimming?
What has changed? That's a great question. Self-confidence, I guess, would be one of the changes. Feel healthy. Between the running and the biking and the swimming, I feel sorry for people that don't exercise. They just get lethargic. I come out of there, I just feel alive.
Yeah.
It really helps with hangovers too. You drink a lot of wine, you get in that cold water.
Yeah.
And as people know, I've had cancer for about a year now, and I think the cold water really helps the survival rate. I've been feeling good since I've been in that cold water. I think that's it's good medicine.
Yeah.
Between that and the running, and all my friends, of course, socializing.
Yeah.
So,
Great. Do you have any injuries?
do I have any injuries?
Yeah. Do you have any injuries?
And well, yeah, artificial hip. Broke a leg skiing back in 1972 in 3 places, which helped throw my hip out. Other than that, injuries in the fire department, smoke inhalation, cuts, bruises, but nothing major.
Okay. Have you been injured while swimming?
Describe injury.
Well, just it sounds like you were scared to death out in the middle of the ocean. But like coming through the Farnsworth Gap, did you ever get scraped up?
No, but I did come out. We swam back from Fort Point one time, and I couldn't make it around Muni Pier, so I swam under the pier, and I got scraped up a little bit, but that's it. And I'm bumped by seals now and then, but other than that,
So what's that experience like?
it's a little spooky when you can't see them. Once you see them, in fact, I named one. I named him Harvey, the harbor seal. And once you can face him and see the guy, that's no problem. It's when you get bumped and it's dark in the morning. That's a little spooky.
Yeah.
In fact, I had one that was got under me and was trying to mate, I think, because I actually swam towards shore and I couldn't swim. I had to do the the breaststroke. And I ended up towards shore. It took off, and I ended up with some scratches on the side. I didn't realize their fins had like little nails on the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that was a little apprehensive,
You
yeah.
might have some big pups in the bay that you don't know about.
Yeah, well, I should have taken advantage of the thing now that I look back, you know. So, yeah, other than that, just the usual swallow water now and then, but no, swimming, no major injuries. Hypothermia, yeah, once I was in for a couple hours and I got to the point where I was in la la land. I didn't feel cold, I didn't feel anything, and, you know, I was happier than can be. So I can see where they send these old people out on a iceberg and they die. I think dying with cold is probably pleasant.
Yeah, I've
So-
heard that. So, what is one of your favorite memories about swimming?
One of my favorite memories, wow. Well, coming in, doing the Ironman in Hawaii, finishing that swim, just coming in after having done, 2.5 miles and climbing up on shore was just, it's exciting. And same with when I did it when I was 78, because I was apprehensive out in that water. When I came in through the opening and I knew I had it made and climbing up on the beach. The rest of it I didn't worry about. I was cold, shivering a little bit, but getting on the bike, I just felt like, man, I got it made now. I did the swim. And the rest of it for me was a piece of cake. Double dipsy, no problem. That I knew I could do.
Great, great. Explain your least favorite part of open water swimming.
Well, like I said earlier, my least favorite part, when I first joined a club, I had no fear. I mean, I'd go out there with this gal, I won't name her name, but we used to jump off at 39, swim back by ourselves. We didn't care about kayaks, pilots, go off a gas house, swim back, white water. It didn't matter. Absolutely no fear. But after I gained that fear of open water, say least favorite, yeah, I wouldn't want to be out in the middle of the bay by myself. I would panic.
Yeah. What's your favorite swim?
Favorite swim? Well, I prefer Alcatraz over the Golden Gate. That's a more pleasant swim. Donner Lake was just beautiful. We did Trans Tahoe as a relay team. I think Donner was one of my favorites at the time. That was before I had fear, because it gets pretty deep out there too.
Does it?
And then of course there's Camp Mather and Carlon Falls.
Yeah.
So it's swimming in lakes anywhere. When I go backpacking and jumping in lakes, very pleasant.
Yeah, beautiful. So everybody has a specific way that they get into the water. Some get in slow. Roper, it has to be either, the hand has to be on the 4 or the 8, I think, on his watch. How do you get into the water? How do you get into
I
the
just
water?
walk in. I walk in, just keep walking in until it's above my waist and just lay down in the water.
Okay.
But what I do tell people that their first time in, and I've pulled a lot of people out, they go in and they're not used to the cold, and they go right in and then they start to swim. And of course they can't catch their breath because of the cold, and then they're trying to exert themselves swimming, and then they panic because then they can't breathe. So I try to help people out that way. I tell them to go in slow, just catch your breath, just breathe slow, start moving till you can breathe, and once you breathe, and then go for it. So, yeah, but like back to your original question, I walk in, past my waist, lay down, and go for it.
So what do you do after you exit the water?
Walk up, take a shower, sauna, have my cappuccino, Cafe Trieste.
So how long have you been having your cappuccino at Cafe Trieste?
I was still working in the fire department. I was in charge of the district, Battalion 1, which is all the North Beach, downtown, in that area. And myself and the operator, after we visited all the different firehouses, would stop by Trieste and have cappuccino. So I got to know them. And I retired in 1990, so a good 30 years I've been going to have my cappuccino.
Well, it was one of the best cappuccinos I've ever had.
Pardon me?
It was one of the best cappuccinos.
Oh
I've
yeah,
ever
no,
had.
they're great. They make them, and then of course Paul, he knows me, so, and I know he fixed them up because he had 2 cappuccinos there one time, and he goes, "That one's yours." So I know he loads
Puts
them
a
up.
little extra love
Oh
in
man,
you.
I come out of there buzzed.
Do you have any swimming mentors that have inspired you over the years?
Swimming mentors, I'm trying to think. Well, Joe Flahaven, and Roper, they're sort of my heroes.
Yeah.
As far as mentors, I had running mentors. I had quite a few. Swimming, I'm sort of a loner doing the swim thing. Yeah, I was swimming alone out here at China Camp, McNair's Beach, and I got to Aquatic Park. I was sort of not much of a group person. Myself and this other gal, we would swim together.
Okay.
But that's, mentors. Not really,
Okay.
well, except Roper and Playhaven.
Yeah, cool. So what does the South End Rowing Club mean to you?
What's it mean? It's my social life. It keeps me going. The people there are unreal from all walks of life. It's where I get my laughs, where I can go in and stir things up because I'm a conservative. It's okay to say that. And I've got a Trump sticker in the back of my truck. And I go in and I drop the ball and get people arguing. Then I go for my swim and I come back and they're still arguing. So I enjoy that. I just enjoy stirring things up. It's just I look forward to going down and socializing.
Yeah. Any last thoughts? Anything else? Any last thoughts?
Not really. Just tell people to just take life as it comes, enjoy it every day, and just socialize, enjoy people, and just don't take anything too serious. That's. I'm a happy camper. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell me about this run.
Well, the run was. It was a run called the DAP, which stood for America's Drug Abuse Prevention Team. And it was run by this guy, Andy Mecca, who was a captain in Vietnam in charge of drug abuse in Vietnam. And he came up with this to raise money and awareness for the... we would stop on the way in high schools and give talks to the kids. George Lucas, he himself donated over $1 million towards it. So we raised a few dollars and made people aware of drug abuse.
Yeah, cool.
It was on the radio every day, KSFO. We were interviewed every day, 8 o'clock in the morning.
And you made it in 15 days.
15 days. We left San Francisco at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock the next morning, we were in Carson City, Nevada. Just over the hills, just one of the most fun things I've done ever.
It's like Forrest Gump.
Hey, Forrest Gump. Just keep going, you know. Something I'm very proud of is my dad's wine press. This is probably 150 years old and was used in Old Kahala district in San Francisco. All the old Italians, they all made wine back then.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid using it, helping my dad out. And when I told my wife I was going to put it in the living room, she thought I was crazy. But I think it adds a lot to it. It really looks good.
Red and white?
Yeah, and I was almost going to paint the metal. I go, what am I, crazy? It's got the original patina here.
Man. So was it, what did you like, red or white?
Oh, it's Dago Red.
Dago Red.
Yeah, that was old Zinfandel.
Okay.
Was the old Dago Red.
All right.
Used to get his grapes from Cloverdale and then eventually Lodi, which now is, it's got his own appellation, so.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, this is 54 Olds, which I drove home from Van Ness Olds, September 20th, 1954. And my dad actually bought the car, but he died shortly afterwards, so I ended up with this car. And I took my wife to the high school prom in it. It was the wedding car, raised my kids in it, drag raced it up in Katati at the time. And it's all original paint and upholstery.
Wow.
I'm having a real good time with this one. So it's only got about 124,000 miles on it. And every day I drive it, it's just getting more and more attention. You just don't see it anymore.
No, you don't. Man, that's unreal. That's beautiful, Dom.
Yeah, chrome like this, they just pretty solid stuff.
And then what's this one?
This is very rare. They only made 6,000 in 3 years. It's a 1965. It's a Sunbeam Tiger. In fact, the old series of Get Smart, Maxwell Smart drove the identical car, red 1965 Sunbeam.
Wow, wow, wow. With the top down.
Yeah, with the top down. It's actually a Shelby car.
Did you redo the seats?
Yeah, they were done by Martha Wheat.
Wow.
She's an expert on these.
Wow.
The paint was done 43 years ago by a friend of mine for $400. He used 1.5 gallons of acrylic lacquer.
Oh, man.
And this guy, Carroll Shelby, a lot of people, I think they know who he is, who made the Cobra, took a car called the Sunbeam Alpine and took out the 4-cylinder engine, put in a Ford drivetrain, and it is now called the Tiger. And there's less than 6,000 in there, so it's extremely rare.
How do you fit a V8 in there?
I've had it out twice,
Wow.
working on it. Not easy. I paid $1,400 for this car, and it is now worth well over $100,000.
Oh, man.
So
Oh, that's beautiful.
those are my drag racing trophies from back in 1964, 65. The motorcycle I drag raced in 1961. So as you can tell, I've always loved cars.
How were the old Brotherhood Way drags? Was it a lot of people would line the streets, line the sides? And
Well, no, the only time I raced out there, I got challenged by my son. He had a '66 Riviera with a later engine in it, and he thought it was really hot stuff, and he challenged my 1965 Oldsmobile with a 4-speed, and he bragged about it to all his buddies. So we went out there, and of course I beat him. So he had to come back with his tail between his legs and tell his buddies that his dad beat him. That's the only time I actually raced against him. The only time I actually raced Brotherhood Drive.
oh, okay. All right.
But, yeah, most of the time it was on Lombard Street with the 54 Olds.
Where on Lumbar? Between what and what?
Well, intersection to intersection.
Oh,
Everywhere
wow.
From Van Ness all the way to, and
Man,
then when we got around Richardson Drive on Doyle Drive there,
just really burn them out there.
that's where we had the quarter-mile marked off.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I mean, it would turn at the time just under 18 and around 80 miles an hour. Considering back then, that was pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my pride and joy is my 65. One of my pride and joys here, that's for the they ordered it in December of 64. I went down the list and special ordered a box frame. It's got a factory 4-speed, which makes it's the only factory 4-speed in the United States, and a Delta 88. Extremely rare. The stick is pretty long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this is all original also. It has 95,000 original miles. And Sunday I'll be taking it to Albuquerque, New Mexico for an Oldsmobile Nationals. I've taken this car to Lansing, Michigan. I've taken it to Dallas, Texas, Seattle, and Boulder, Colorado for
Wow.
Nationals.
Wow. Wow.
It draws a lot of attention.
Yeah, absolutely does
And it's
it.
got a 425 with 370 horsepower.
Jeez.
So it
It
hauls.
moves. How's it ride? Does it ride pretty smooth?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Just a cruiser?
It's a cruiser.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
fast cruiser. Original license plate, original license
Yeah, I love that.
frame.
Yeah, I love that for sure. Right on, Dom. Very cool.